back-to-back Super Bowls to become the 7th quarterback to do it. The last one to do it, none other than Tom Brady, of course. So he gets to take on Tom Brady as Patrick Mahomes tries to win back-to-back Super Bowls. And the Kansas City Chiefs will have to make do without Eric Fisher, who has a torn Achilles, obviously out for this game. They're already missing their starting right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz, who's been out since week 6 with a back injury. So no Mitchell Schwartz, no Eric Fisher. That's a problem for Kansas City, but Andy Reid does believe they have some offensive tackle depth that they'll need to deploy on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, it's important, Adam. You'll be with us all show long. That storyline to watch, especially considering that they're going to face up against Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul off the edge for the Bucs. So much more to come on this, but let's get to the NFC Championship game. We begin with one of the most talked about moments from Championship Sunday. Packers versus Bucs. We're picking it up in the fourth quarter. Packers with a 3rd and goal, trailing by 8. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's going to have some room here to run. He ends up trying to get the touchdown with his arm. He's frustrated after this because you felt like maybe he was going to have more opportunity. They end up deciding to go for the field goal here. You're going to hear from Rodgers in moments about this decision, as well as LaFleur. And they make that, so that means Packers trail 31-26. But then the Bucs get the ball back, and this is 3rd and 4. Tom Brady to Tyler Johnson. Incomplete, but look at the flag there. Kevin King gets called for pass interference, giving Tampa Bay a 1st down. And both Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers not thrilled with that call. You see Rodgers there making a case to the ref that Bucs drive would continue. And later in the drive, Godwin gets the handoff, picks up that 1st down that seals the victory. Here's LaFleur and Rodgers about the call to kick the field goal.
They essentially had 4 timeouts with the 2-minute warning. And, you know, we knew we needed to get a stop. And I thought we were going to have a stop there at the end, but, you know, we got called for the PI. And it didn't work out.
Well, I didn't have a decision on that one. Yeah, that wasn't my decision. I thought maybe we're going to have 4 chances to go.
All right, so you heard what Aaron Rodgers said right there. Mina, let's just talk about this from the analytics perspective. What do the numbers say about that situation and whether or not to go for it or kick the field goal?
So ESPN's model slightly favored going for it. I think 99.9% of people at home, that's not an exact calculation, wanted the Packers to go for it, at least based on my timeline. I think it was a little bit closer than it perhaps seemed, because they were at 4th and 8. And with the field goal, if they got the stop, they could have then drove for the win. I understand LaFleur's thinking to some extent, especially given how much the Packers struggled in the red zone in this game particular compared to the rest of the season. I mean, Rodgers was 1 for 6 targeting Adams, whereas he was 17 for 19 in goal-to-goal situations, in the red zone during the regular season. But all that said, we're talking about the best red zone offense in football. We're talking about a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers, 91% goal to go this year. I think you got to go for it. And then if you don't get it, you can get the stop and try to tie the game. I don't think it was as objectionable perhaps as some people, but if it was me, Marcus, I would have relied on Rodgers and gone for it.
Yeah, Marcus, people got really upset about this, as you might imagine, and as Mina pointed to, it really was like 99.9% of people thought that they should have just gone for it there. What did you make of this particular situation and the moments leading up to it, right?
I actually, I didn't have a visceral reaction like everybody else. Like, understanding within the confines of football, I'm 100% with Mina. It's Aaron Rodgers. You give him an opportunity on 4th down, but also, Matt LaFleur told you what his thinking was. We didn't have a lot of success on the first 3 downs. And that crept into his mind. So it may have been a little fear. He may have had a little fear about not getting any points at all. So I understand it. Now, the football guy in me, the guy that relies on execution and the talent and all of these factors of why you should, if I got Aaron Rodgers, I'm going for it. And that's why everybody is so mad. Really, everybody is angry because Matt LaFleur has Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback, and he decided not to give him an opportunity to put the football in the end zone.
You know what Matt LaFleur didn't have, Marcus? his starting left tackle, arguably the best left tackle in the NFL, in David Bakhtiari. And guys, that's why the Packers lost. It's not because they kicked a field goal there. I mean, the defensive decisions, we'll get into that in a moment. But on offense, they lost because their offensive line got whooped on the edges by Shaq Barrett and JPP. And I think perhaps we thought, oh, this offensive line, they played well against the Rams. They'll be fine. Billy Turner, Rick Wagner.
Yeah.
But Aaron Donald was hurt in that game, and I think it gave kind of a misleading picture as to the state of the Green Bay offensive line, which with Bakhtiari was the best in the NFL.
Yeah, you know, Mina, you thought that this game would maybe expose the absence of Bakhtiari, and you could tell very early on that it did. That was just a chance where the Bucs were winning at the line of scrimmage throughout. Let's go to another really pivotal moment in this game, guys, and this one is the end of the first half, right? Second quarter, 34 seconds left in the half, 2nd and 18 for Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers over the middle to Allen Lazard there, but intercepted by Sean Murphy-Bunting, who's been playing really well. You'll see that one more time. And the Bucs, that means they're going to take over near midfield with seconds remaining in this half. In fact, only 8 seconds here for Tom Brady, right? But 1st and 10, Bucs in Packers territory. Tom Brady, deep shot to Scotty Miller. You've got to account for that, right? They don't, and Kevin King ends up getting beat in that moment. Let's hear from Matt LaFleur with more about this at the end of the half.
Yeah, it was man coverage. Definitely not the right call for the situation. And you can't do stuff like that against a good football team and expect to win. I blame us as coaches, you know, for putting our guys in that situation. That's inexcusable. That should not have happened.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties with Dan Orlovsky right now. I just want to put that out there. We're trying to get him back here. He called that the blind spot there. Marcus, what happened defensively?
Mike Pettin point shaving. That's what he's doing, like not in the literal sense. But when you look at this particular situation, get into halftime, man. Why are you in single safety high coverage, man-to-man, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when you know Tom Brady is trying to gut you? And how important points are in that game. So I had a major issue. And look, Matt LaFleur pointed to it. He said, we as coaches cannot put our players in that position. Yeah. The number one job, and y'all have heard me say it, the number one job of a coach is to put players in a position to be successful. We obviously saw that Green Bay did not do that on that play. And think about the swing. Like, Mina, think about what the swing did. Think about the demoralizing feeling that you have going into halftime down 20-10 as opposed to 13-10. I can tell you this as a football player, as a defensive guy, I'm walking into that locker room and I'm flipping some tables, kicking some holes in some whiteboards that they about to tell us what we did wrong. You do not put your guys in that position at that critical stage, especially King. He was having a terrible night anyway.
And let me say this, there is nothing deceptive about Scotty Miller's speed, okay? He has got jets. Nothing. I want everyone out there, all the fans who are angry at LaFleur, you got to direct like 90% of that anger towards the defensive coaching. Because to me, Marcus, that call was worse than the Greg Williams zero blitz that got everyone so riled up earlier in the gear, because that game was meaningless. In fact, if anything, it actually helped the Jets, whereas this was a playoff game, arguably swung it, as you said. But I want to turn it to actually, while we're talking about coaching, something that happened right before the interception. So we talked about how Matt LaFleur perhaps wasn't aggressive enough, and we're going to talk about how I think Sean McDermott wasn't aggressive enough, and we've seen a lot of that throughout the playoffs. You know who came to risk it for the biscuit? Bruce Arians calling the timeout before the interception with 38 seconds left, trusting his offense to come back on the field and do something, then going for it on 4th down, throwing to Leonard Fournette. All of that happened, before the play in question. That is the kind of aggression we need to see, especially going into a game against Patrick Mahomes that was missing in the AFC Championship. And I, for one, was heartened to see Bruce Arians take some risks.
Only way to get the biscuit is to risk it. And as